What it do? What it do? What it do? It's your main man, DuvSac, DuvSac, and welcome to another broadcast of Hood Reform, the podcast, baby. And tonight, once again, your boy, yours truly, will be going live, broadcasting, coming straight out of Philly with my brother from the Time for an Awakening program broadcast coming out of Philly. And tonight we will be discussing NAACP revitalization, or I would like to call it reform. All the branches that we're going through a reform or a revitalizing stage right now, where we're trying to put life back into the branches, put some youth back into the branches, put some soldiers back into the branches. So we will be discussing that tonight. Broadcast should start in about 13 minutes by my time. So I'm just coming to y'all a little live early, getting you pretty much a foundation of what we're gonna be talking about tonight, giving you the agenda, giving you the platform on what we'll be discussing tonight. I think I will be joined by another president from a branch across the nation that did some of the similar things that we had to go through here in Marshall County when going through the transition of leadership. We got to be mindful and respectful to our elders who for years kept the branch open, active, and in the county. To be accessible to our public, to be accessible to the people. We can't blame them for being seniors. Seniors should be there for guidance, wisdom, not for war, not for action. So I don't have any ill will toward the seniors that was, or as I like to call them, our lifers. Those who are members for lifetime membership. I have no ill will against those individuals, those members. I truly applaud them, and I wish they'd get more active when it comes to guiding and sharing their wisdom with active members. So once again, you're live with your boy DuvSac, DuvSac, and I was just sitting here on this Sunday afternoon, man, enjoying the Cowboys game. They're winning right now by 3:43 left in the game, 42-10. So I went ahead and switched off that, muted that, and went ahead and decided to come live here. And we're doing something different tonight. We're going live from YouTube. We're streaming live from YouTube platform instead of the Facebook platform. We're going to do a transition here with Hood Reform, trying to monetize this thing and really spread the word of Hood Reform throughout the nation. Because it's a 7-point program that we stand on. We feel pretty secure about if used and practiced in our community on a day-to-day basis. We guarantee we will see effective outcome in the community. So we're joining up with other strong organizations or like-minded thinkers here in Mississippi, and we're doing this thing called Mississippi on the Move. It's a movement, and these are some soldiers that I go to battle with. I stand in the trenches with, because they've proved to me on countless occasions that they are willing to fight, kill, and die for the liberation of our people. And that's the reason I salute them, and can't wait to join and be a part of their movement. Total. So once again, you're live with your boy DuvSac, DuvSac. Who Reform the podcast. I'm gonna run some things across the ticker. We still got to do this, y'all. We still got to do this before I click over to my Time for an Awakening. We still got to hold our mayor and board accountable for that 1% park and recs tax that's coming in for our children. It's been a year, 2 years and a half. They have still to apply any programs on a consistent base for the youth of our city, and they receive 1% sales tax monthly, about $15,000 a month for our children from Parks and Recs. And we have yet to see any programs or any effective things, or effective change from their Parks and Rec department. And we just got to continue to put pressure on our mayor and board. I know they seem to be still going through transition. They seem to be still going through a gelling process. They're still trying to gel as a body. And it's something terrible to watch, I tell you. And it's even worse to have conversation about it, because it seems to have no solution to the problems that lie ahead of us. So that's a tragedy. But we got to hold our mayor and board accountable for that 1% sales tax for our children, Parks and Recs here in Holly Springs. We got to do that. Just running some things across the ticker, y'all. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And like I said, we will be here live in a minute. Trying to speak on the revitalization and reform of the branches of the NAACP on the Time for an Awakening broadcast coming out of Philly. The great brothers heard about our struggle, witnessed our struggle and what we're going through here in Mississippi, and wanted to help put us on a more national platform. And I'm grateful for that, thankful for that. That's God's way, I think, of letting us know that we on the right track, brothers. That we are on the right track, brothers and sisters. So I want to take this time out before I make this phone call and log in and start the broadcast with the other brothers to make sure I encourage everybody to join your local branch of the NAACP, the National Organization for the Advancement of Colored People, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, and all poor people across the nation. So I want to encourage y'all to join your local branch, all right? If you don't see one of the proud members of the NAACP, you can always go to NAACP.org, NAACP.org, join, and then click the unit, Marshall County 5310. Marshall County 5310 is the unit number. All right? Okie dokie. Now, we've been going to call in and get this conversation started about the revitalization of the branches of the NAACP. All right? Keep it locked. Got a few minutes here. How did everybody enjoy the Founders Day weekend? Yeah, 157 years of educating Black people here in Holly Springs. 157 years of educating Black folk. Russ College Founders Weekend. I hope everybody enjoyed it. The parade was quite entertaining as usual. It was a little breezy, but God gave us some sunshine to help us deal with that little breeze, huh? And as always, I enjoyed seeing the whole town and pub and the county come out in celebration with us. It's always a beautiful thing to see that. To see us gather together with no problems. With no problems, no fight, no scuffles, no nothing. As always, it's good to see the alumni. I hadn't seen some of them guys since last year. I hadn't talked to some of them since last year. So it's always good to know that they in town. It kind of remind me of the 90s when when they was here going to school, you know. I feel that energy again, you know. Yeah, I feel that energy. Yes, yes, yes. And as always, I'm gonna say I do not own the copyrights to this music, but I'm gonna play a little bit. Tupac said that the four walls. I do not own the copyright to this music. Staring at the walls and still going home and not that that same nigga. I could lose my mind. So many better bits off the enemy behind me. Shit I never did. It's fitness in my jaw. I'm a girl, not a fake this. You might hate this music, but I hate this. One to blame, so let's face it. You make this way from the break to the brain. And with time, I'm being slaves to a system that hates us. The things, what the things you spend on stage. Then you put the bucket in trust. Instead of the keep us sometimes to get it done. Little niggas before the book and put them in the gun. Take the fight through the White House. Peace up my mind and put their lights out. And they much in discuss because they never gave a fuck about it.
For the Daily Mail, I think it was the Daily Mail that picked up that story. So then I knew, that he was on some coon stuff, right? So anyway, and he was talking about the sheriff is his friend when we was questioning him about, oh, that's my friend Alan Cloninger was the sheriff's name, this white man. Yes, he's a racist neo-Confederate. And so bring it all the way up to March of this year, we started contacting this dude and was like, when is y'all meetings? When y'all having the next meeting? We joined. See, we went online and joined. We didn't join through the chapter. We joined through national and got assigned to that chapter. So he finally agreed to have a meeting. Come to find out, they hadn't had a meeting since 2019. And they hadn't had an election since 2018. And so we asking all these questions and stuff, and he's talking about, well, I could never make quorum. I didn't know what he was talking about. And I got into the bylaw twice, right? And what he's saying is that you got to have at least 10 members in order to vote to do anything. You know what I'm saying? And by reading the bylaws, I found out that you are out of compliance. You got to maintain at least 51 members in order to be a chapter in good standing, as they call it, right? Man, they didn't have no members. They didn't, and I mean the so-called officer. So he shows up at that first meeting. He shows up there. His vice chair, which is this gay black dude. All these are older people, older than me, except for Chris. He's my age. And then the third chair was this woman, this black woman, who I knew was a coon, right? She was opposed to us, one of these, and she wasn't the only black person to be like, why y'all like them messing with them white folks about that? We ain't nothing but a pile of bricks and stuff. This is the third chair for the NAACP, right? But then I knew that she worked with this clergy group here in County, and in I think it was 2020 or 2021, they got like this Martin Luther King Jr. monument that sits on the street that's named after him, and that's right across the street from the courthouse where they got the Confederate monument. And so they put people's names on there to get nominated, and you would think it was to embody, the work that Dr. King, whether it was in voting, whether you was addressing poverty, whether you was addressing racism, white supremacy, just anything, that's what you would think. Man, that is not what it's for, and white people control it. These white clergy members, and they got this group called Gaston County, they call it GC3. I don't know what the 3 stand for. And so she was a member of that. And so we had taught when, and this was in 2021, we caught wind that they were going to give the award to the Gastonia police chief. And this dude was one of them Blue Lives Matter clowns. You know, they even had a Blue Lives Matter rally. His people showed up. He was one of the keynote speakers. So this is the type of dude. And his police department was harassing protesters and stuff on Gastonia city streets. And what happened? And they gave him, and she was a part of that. And then they had the award ceremony at a black church. So we was like, no, this ain't gonna fly. So we protested at the church during the ceremony, right? So these are the type of people that you had running the NAACP, but then to come to find out, they had let their memberships lapse. You sitting up here telling people you the president of the local chapter, you over there claiming to be on the executive committee, and then that first meeting, come to find out, y'all weren't even members at that point because you let your membership lapse. Because they were filling out the membership forms right there in front of us. They admitted to us that they had let their memberships lapse. How long they let them lapse, I don't know. But they were telling people out in the community, oh, like the NAACP, I'm the president, you know, like this was a functioning chapter. It was not. It was not. So what we started doing, I had got my daughters joined, two of my daughters joined, most of my friends joined, and other activists joined. And so it was maybe about 15 of us maybe joined and stuff. So then we started writing complaints and making phone calls and emails to the national and telling them what was going on down here, right? And so, you know, come to find out a bunch of money might have been stolen by their former treasurer who robbed the African American Museum in Gastonia. You know, she was on the credit card at the museum as well, and she had a gambling habit and spent over $35,000, racked up $35,000 at a casino, the local, you know, casino around here. And she had terminal cancer, and so I guess she said, F it, I'm just going to spend all this money and have the time of my life before I die. And she did. And now we come to find out, you know, from a former president of the NAACP before Chris, she was like saying she wanted to know what happened to some money, and that as much as 16,000 may have been taken. So there's no way for us to know. You know, they're not going to give us access to the bank records and all of that. So, you know, we put all this in a complaint form to, you know, national. And so he had like started back having monthly meetings. I think we had 3 meetings. By the 4th meeting, they sent a rep down. He's like the district rep that was over Gastonia, and they told them to cease and desist. That this ain't a chapter. No more. You're not in compliance. Man, they were so far out of compliance on so many other rules. It's not even funny. And like, you know, I had first reached out to Reverend, what's her name? Reverend Korean Mack. She leads the NAACP in Charlotte, but I had known her from other activism work. And I knew she was a real sister who was about their work, about people, because we could see everything they was doing over there in Charlotte. And so I had first asked her for guidance on how we should handle this. And she the one that told us, you know, don't fool with them people. She told me don't fool with them. She said, just talk to national. Just talk to national and file your complaints. And that's what I did. And so they've been shut down ever since then. So we haven't heard anything about the status of National's investigation into it. So, you know, what we decided we were going to do, we're going to start from scratch. You need at least 100 members to start a new chapter. We want a clean break from that old chapter, and we want a new chapter. So we got like a we call it a reorganizing committee. It's 7 of us, and so now we're going to start. Now that the elections is over, because a lot of them worked in the elections. Now we're going to work on getting 100 members and start a whole new chapter. But speaking to also what you was talking about politics, if anybody read the NAACP chapter, they have these standing committees, and they're supposed to have a political standing committee. And so what we were talking about on our little private conference calls, you know, because we stay in touch and talk to each other almost daily, the activists that's doing this with me. But, you know, we talked about, you know, the reason Walker Reed lost is because he ain't do nothing for the people. You know, black businesses, new businesses opening up, he would never go to their grand opening, but he'll go to these white ones and stuff like that. And he was all about corporations, you know, and then he also gentrified this one historic black community, you know, putting in this new business district called Fuse. And so I tried to tell my friend, she a diehard Democrat or whatever. I tried to tell her, I was like, of course he lost. I was like, you know, what did he do for the black community? What the F did he do? He ain't do nothing. So why would anybody be excited to turn out to vote for him? And then he ain't really run no kind of campaign. And so I was like, you know what? Once we get this new chapter and we get a political standing committee, we need to be grooming people for these local political offices and stuff. Because, I mean, the dude there of Gastonia won with less than 3,500 votes, man. You know? And so, yeah, it was very, very low turnout. But again, like I said to somebody else, people is tired of voting to keep somebody else from getting in the office, but you're not voting because you're excited about who you're voting for. And so people are disinterested and they're not going to show up. But I said, once we get this thing up and rolling, that should be our long-term plan, is identifying people in the community, grooming them to run for political office on a platform that lines up with the NAACP bylaws. And then, you know, if they win, if they're in an officer position of the NAACP, they just resign. They can still be members, they just can't be an officer. And so that's where we at right now. I know I said a lot, but if you got any questions for me.
Scott, before I pass to Richard, let me ask you, when you mentioned that you got a group of people together to join, but they joined from the national.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I don't know, that's why I'm asking you this. Just say, for example, if you wanted to join from that local, then that president could have stopped the applications. He could have thrown them up.
No, he couldn't.
He couldn't? No. Okay. No. Okay. All right. I just was curious to why.
What happens, and see, it's an issue with that too. People were saying they had joined and they never did a card, because we got a card in the mail, you know, a card and a letter and what have you, welcoming you to the NAACP. And they was like, where y'all get them cards from? I gave him my money. I ain't never get no card. Man, this dude wasn't turning in the money. He was not turning in the money, because National is supposed to get, don't quote me on this, but I think they're supposed to get like half. And then, so it's split between the local branch and the national. And so if you go to National's website, you could join as either a large member, or you can, you know, search for your local chapter and stuff. And even though this was an inactive chapter, they were still in the database, right? So that's how we joined. And so when you join through National, and it's just $35 a year, man. It ain't even a lot of money. So I think National would have kept their $12 out of it, and the rest they would have sent to the chapter. But again, this chapter was not in compliance, man. I mean, they were doing a whole bunch of stuff that's wrong. And this dude might be lucky if he don't get criminal charges out of this.
Yeah, you know, Scotty, I'm trying to process.
I know I said a lot. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. It's the point of the whole thing of, and because this discussion is going to center around, or at least what I'm looking at, how do we turn these legacy organizations to, and I think the term where you use, so the people in these communities can be excited about organizing in their own interest. And so, well, I guess the first question I have, does the NAACP have a negative image in your mind, even from where in your case?
Yes, man. No, NAACP been trash, man. Now, that's not every chapter. Okay, that's not every chapter. Like I said, the one in Mecklenburg County, they have a great chapter, and they are led by a conscious Black woman by the name of Reverend Corinne Mack. And she had, when she found out what was going on over here, but she knew me and knew the work that I had engaged in, she was like, those are my enemies, because they harm Black people. She was talking about, the so-called executive community. You harm Black people. Man, once I really start getting into them bylaws and looking at their website, man, a lot of money be going to the NAACP. Matter of fact, a major bank just gave them something like $50 million that was supposed to be distributed to the local chapters. I got on a call one time after the Supreme Court had basically eviscerated affirmative action. And so National put together this emergency online call through Zoom or whatnot. And I think the man's name is Leon Russell. Like, he might be the executive director. He's on the executive board, but he's not the president of the NAACP. Man, this fool got on there talking about we might need. Now, this is supposed to be about affirmative action, and this Negro on there talking about we might need to stop asking for money in terms of reparations. I'm like, what the hell? What the hell? And then they just hosted Hillary Super President Clinton. One of their last national annual conference. She was a guest speaker.
Yeah, she was speaking in Boston.
Yeah, that's where it was, in Boston. And I was like, look, I already knew that some of these people were coons. You know what I'm saying? And what have you. So I already knew that. But I thought about it in terms of COINTELPRO. You know how J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI infiltrated the Black Panther Party and other leftist organizations to destroy them from within? I was like, well, how come we can't do the same thing? Infiltrate the NAACP with radical, conscious activists and take it over from the ground up.
You must have been reading.
All it costs is $35 a year to be a member, man. Come on, you can come up with $35.
You must have been reading Richard's mind. That's what he was Richard.
No, and so, well, let me ask this, because in looking at, because the other thing that you raised is the connection between the NAACP and the Democratic Party. I would assume there is a connection between that. So, what is the agenda item that you're not supposed to be, Richard? They're not supposed to be. They are supposed to be a nonpartisan organization. Is that true, though? As your observation, is that true?
Obviously, it's not. Now, they are an advocacy organization, so they are supposed to be talking to these politicians on both sides of the aisle. Or I don't care if you are a Green Party or the Libertarian Party. If you in office, the NAACP as an advocacy organization is supposed to be engaged in them. But as we can see, we know that NAACP historically, don't give me the line about how long it's been going on, but been cozying up to the leadership of the DNC. I mean, how else does Hillary Clinton end up at your darn thing after all the harm this woman then caused Black people?
And so the question comes, and I only have two more, questions for this round, because I am interested in how everyone, when we talk about, and I'm glad that you're in North Carolina and then we have people in Mississippi, how this difference of all politics being local goes to my next question. So for your area, as using the NAACP to energize and change its negative image, what is the agenda item that you think would bring people that would resonate with people, not just with the work y'all have been doing as organizers, but when they would believe this resonates with me. What is that agenda item? I'm kind of curious of that.
I mean, I don't know how to answer that except for what I said to people. And what I said to people is, y'all know we got a bunch of coons over here claiming to be the NAACP, and you see they ain't come out to nothing to address nothing that was going on in the community. They ain't even come show up at, this boy's funeral or nothing like that. And so I was like, either we can sit on the sidelines and complain, but that's not going to change anything, or we can become members and change it from the inside. And we need good people like you, who's going to be about the work of the NAACP in confronting racism and white supremacy. That was my pitch.
And my last question is, as we continue to develop, and I definitely will have more, but you mentioned about this $50 million that's supposed to bank gave the national, and I'm clear, these legacy organizations I'm having challenges with, right? And I assume that's one reason Black people in general look at them, because they're getting this money, and you don't hear them advocating, and you see them getting money, but you don't see where it's being distributed at.
Well, when I went to the national website, they do distribute that money. They're supposed to, and I'm not talking about that 50 million first day one-time gift, but they do have scholarship programs and stuff like that you can find on the national website. Look, on paper and, reading the website, it's a clear vision that I agree with. I agree with the bylaws, so I would not have joined. But they aren't running it according to the mission, And again, I'm not making a sweeping indictment of every NAACP chapter or people up there at national, but, there are some issues and there are some problems, but they do, because we were saying to ourselves, look at this money over here, man, that this chapter could have been getting, to help these young people with this or that, because it talks about service. And I like took some of the training classes. They'll have like online training classes and stuff for officers and whatnot, but it's open to anybody. And it's younger people. It's people in their 30s or maybe 40s, not even as old as me, in my 50s. And I just think that the older folks that over them need to get the hell out the way. They just need to retire, go sit down somewhere, and let the young people run it. Because people was like trying to recruit me to become the president. And I'm like, no, I don't want to be the president of the local chapter. I said, what I want to do for the local chapter is I want to be on the press and publicity standing committee, because I work in media, so that's right down my line, right? But I don't want to be president. I said, I think it's some capable young people in this county, and this is my generation in with the sleep. The dude that was running it, if you want to call it that, Chris Thomason, the fake NAACP pretender, president pretender, he's my age. You know what I'm saying? And so I just feel like that I need to get out the way. I'm there to assist. If you want wisdom, if you want to ask me what I think about this or that, I'm there for you. I'll help y'all with this, that, and the other, but am I interested in being president? Hell no, because that's an unpaid position and it's a lot of work. And I am not going to volunteer to do something that I don't have time to commit full time to. So, that's better left for somebody else. Did I answer your question?
Oh, yeah. I'll wait till we come back around and continue to just, expand the conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna take a break, and when we come back from break, we'll bring in the brothers and possibly sister. I don't know whether Sister Crystal will be with them, but the folks from the Black Conversion Movement down here in Mississippi to talk about how they dealt with their chapter, because it's a little bit different than Scotty's and Brother Rodney Lowe, better known as Brother DuvSac, and some of the other activists will talk about how they what they did down there, and also talk about how they're dealing with some of the fallout from this election that they had. Well, we're gonna take a brief break, and when we come back, you can join the discussion too, because it's some callers up here. If you got a question or comment for our guest, you can join the discussion by dialing 215-490-9832. That's 215-490-9832. Time for an awakening. We'll be right back.
There y'all have it. We are live on Time for an Awakening. It's broadcasting out of Philly, and we're just discussing the revitalization or reform of the NAACP by branch. I hope it's not too long or too boring for some of you guys who are trying to tune in, but keep it locked. You may learn something. You might hear that specific topic that sparked that fire in you. You know, because I know it's in all of us. All of us are tired of the condition and the things we go through as a race. And the only way we can fight that fight is to fight that fight together. All right?
With host, Brother Elliot. On Time for an Awakening Media, part of the Black Talk Radio Network. For podcasting or live program scheduling, hit them up at timeforanawakening@gmail.com.
Before your roof becomes unruly, call Dooley. Dooley Brothers, specializing in shingle, rubber roofs, gutters, downspouts, and vinyl sidings. Call for your free estimate today. 215-224-3.
Once again, you are locked in with your man, DuvSac DuvSac. And we're live on Hood Reform the Podcast, where we are going live tonight on Time for an Awakening, broadcasting out of Philly, Pennsylvania. It's a national syndicated program. I shared the link on Facebook on my page. So you like to tune in and listen, go to my page on Facebook and click the link. We are live on YouTube. I'm doing a different platform tonight. We're streaming live from YouTube. So keep us locked. I thought they was telling me that we was coming back in off the break. But keep it locked. Keep it tuned. Hit me on my inbox. Give me your comments and thoughts on the content that you check out on this live, right?
Free of digital plantations to control your own product. ABIBitumi.store is here for you. ABIBITUMI. Black Power. ABIBITUMI. The only word you need to know to join your global Commit to You Black family, to join your interconnected Commit to You Black communities. Escape the digital plantation now. ABIBitumi.com, ABIBitumi.tv, ABIBitumitv.com, ABIBitumi.store. We are here for you. Escape the digital plantation. Some of us are not afraid. Even though we may be elected, what's on our mind? But we must understand that we are freedom fighters first. Wake up and realize and understand that you got a lot of us that are willing to go to battle because of freedom. You're going to never be freedom to choose. There's too many of us sitting around that's going to come to us with all some damn souls like us. Wake up and move and understand that man has no respect for you. Nothing whatsoever. And know that this problem needs to be solved, and we can't keep relegating it to generation after generation because a few of us got money, a few of us got positions, a few of us got wealth, while the masses of our people are going can rise above the condition of his people. The brother said responsibility. Is it that we should let them take responsibility to do for us, or should we pool the knowledge that's at the table, the power that's in our community, the wealth that's in our community to change the harsh reality of Black life in America? We have to do the job of fulfilling the because of the kinds of victories that were won by the Southern freedom movement, Black people occupy far more establishment positions than they did back in my day, in the 1960s. So in a sense, you also have a struggle with a kind of Black establishment that has a vested interest in the status quo. You're up against an establishment within the Black community that we never had to face. It didn't exist because of segregation and discrimination. And that makes their task, if they want to organize, much, much more difficult with respect to the Black community than what we had to face. Today, our people can see that we're faced with a government conspiracy. This government has failed us. The citizens who are filibustering concerning your and my rights, that's the government. Don't say it's government. It's the government filibuster. It's not a congregation that filibuster. It's a government filibuster. Any kind of activity that takes place on the floor of the Congress or the government has failed us. The government is one of the guilty of our country. Which we
I'm Born Awakening, the proud part of the Black Talk Radio Network, the #1 independent Black digital and podcasting platform.
Welcome back to Time for an Awakening. It's 8 o'clock straight up on this Sunday evening. Our guest this evening, the president of the Black Talk Radio Network's Brother Scotty Reed is with us. We got several activists, key activists from down at the Black Liberation Movement down in Mississippi. Brother Patrick Lamumba will be joining us. Brother Rodney Lowe, better known as Brother DuvSac. Brother Malik Hayes will be with us. And probably some more the key activists from the different quadrants down in Mississippi will be joining us. We're going to switch over to some of my Mississippi guests. Brother Patrick, are you there? Brother Patrick.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Bobby Elliott. I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, you're a little foggy, but we'll try to go right to it. Let's go here and get Brother Malik Hayes. Brother Malik, you still there? Brother Malik?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm here from Brother Elliott.
Okay. And I don't know what Brother DuvSac, I don't know what whether he's on with us or not.
I'm here.
Because I'm not sure what number he's calling in on.
Mute off.
So DuvSac, is it you?
I'm here.
Oh, great. Good. I pushed the button there just to see, and then it had to be you. Listen, brothers, you heard Brother Scotty from down there, from over there in Gastonia, North Carolina, talk about what they had to do to take control of the NAACP branch in their county that was doing absolutely nothing for the people. Before we talk about the aftermath of that election down in Mississippi, Brother DuvSac, talk about what you and some of the men and women did in the county that you're in Mississippi to take control of the NAACP. I would think, now this is just me, I would think that your story might be similar to that of Brother Scotty, but talk about it from your perspective dealing in Mississippi.
First of all, good evening, Brother Ellie, and all brother commanders that's on the line, and to all the listeners across the nation. I am DuvSac, DUVSAC DuvSac. Before I go on, Brother Elliot, I'm gonna just explain what DuvSac stands for. DuvSac stands for is an acronym standing for Divine Unity versus Scandals Against Christ. And that was a vision given to me at the tender age of 19 by our higher power, and I stand on that. We need divine unity right now. But to speak on the branch, it is a similar situation. I was actually very critical of the NAACP, just being an activist here in my area here in Marshall County, Mississippi. I was very crucial and critical of the NAACP. I was talking to my dear friend Twan Lester, who just ran for sheriff. He and I both was talking, and we both was activists in the community. And he was expressing to me one day that he used to be a part of the branch, him and his sisters, who are activists in the community, but they soon left because he said, "Man, them jokers ain't doing nothing there." So I never joined. But I was watching Roland Martin one morning, and Roland was talking about his frat brothers out in Washington State, that they went to a branch, and the branch was non-active, and he said his frat brothers joined the branch, recruited, and outvoted them. So I had the idea. So I called my friend up, Twan G, and told him, "Hey, bro, let's join the branch and see what's going on, and see can we revitalize that branch." He said, "If you want to, let's try." He said, "But I don't have any faith in them." So we joined. For the first 6 months, it was pretty much like what the brother went through. The leadership was all the elders. They didn't have to fight in them anymore. They was all in bed with the local politicians. Actually, we didn't have a president of the branch at the time. They was using the mayor, the present mayor of the city, was down on paper as our branch president, and he had been our president like 15 or 10 years back. We had actually had a woman president since his time, but they didn't have her down as president. They had him down as president. But like the other brother, they hadn't had an election in about 4 or 5 years, so they was operating without a president, but they did have their membership. So I salute them for that. So we actually basically cut a long story short. We went in, we recruited. We started with family and friends. I started my barbershop here in Holly Springs. I went to recruiting members. And once we knew, and the election was a year off, when we started inquiring about the election, it was like December of December of 2015, 2016. And the election was only going to be November of 17. So we knew we had 6-7 months of hard campaigning, of recruiting new members. So we recruited, and then when it came down to the election, Brother Elliott, it was a Thursday night. I never forget. It was a rainy Thursday night. We met at the county library, and I call them old heads or lifetime members, so I call them lifers. Those lifers actually sat in our face in the library and told us that, I'm sorry to inform you all, but state conference just sent us a letter or email saying that we got our paperwork in too late, so we cannot have an election. I said, what? And we did everything according to their timeline. They're telling us when to get the paper in, when to submit this, when to do this. So we only went by their instructions. And then for them to tell us the night before the election, the state conference said we cannot have an election. Not only did they say state conference said we couldn't have an election, but they said that national said that we couldn't have an election. So I looked them in their face. I said, I will accept that tonight. But I want you guys to know that in the morning, I will be calling Jackson to ask them about this. I just don't see 100-plus-year-old organization waiting to the night before the election and tell us we was too late submitting our paperwork. So anyway, I woke up the next morning, called Jackson, talked to Brother Hampton, and he said, not only do state conference didn't say that, but state conference do not get in local elections, and national have no idea what's going on. So there we go. We knew then that the president, the president administration of the NAACP did not want change. So on that phone call, Brother Hampton asked me, well, Mr. Lowe, when would you like to have an election? I said, well, it was November then. I said, well, December. So he came up December the 14th. We had the election. We called up all the new members, told them to be there. I mean, them old heads actually called up members that we had never seen in 3 years of being in the branch. We had never seen some of these members before, but they lifetime members. So they don't necessarily come every meeting, but they are members. So they showed up. I think they had like 20-some members, but we had 31 in the building. So we out voted them, and actually the branch selected me to be the president, and I accepted. That I nominated Twan G, my vice, as my vice, and picked 2 other vices. So we got 3 vice presidents in the branch. But we had to have that election. We had to have state conference to come up to have our election because our local representation just did not want us to take over. Now, upon us taking over, we went through all type of red tape. Every time someone came to us with a issue that's not, we new to it, so we're not really knowing all the rules and regulations. So we still following their instructions. So new people come to us in the community with problems. We could never seem to take no issue. Everything was not falling on the platform in NAACP. And it was just bothering the new members like, hey, but these are people. And they heard. So I had to dig a little deeper. We finally attended our first state conference. We went to a couple of workshops. So now we are informed on how the branch operate. So of course, when we come back, we hit the ground rolling. Now we informed. Now we know our position. Now we know our power. And we never look back. And slowly but surely, not only did the lifetime members stop coming, we didn't encourage that. Now we didn't run them off. They just slowly wanted to disassociate themselves with us because now we are taking on issues that are offending their friends in politics. We are offending those who they in bed with. So they slowly walked away from the branch. And not only that, but we saw local sororities and frats slowly take their money or withdraw their money, stop giving their donations because they couldn't control what we talked about or what issues we stood on. And still today, like I heard the brother say, we have members that walk up to us right now and say, man, I joined 2-3 years ago. I never got my card. I never got no information back from National. So I can understand money not being where it's supposed to be, membership not being like it should be. And that's what's going on right now throughout this organization. They call it a revitalization of the branches. I call it a reform of the branches. Not only we got to go in there and outvote them, but we got to go in there with a new mindset, a more progressive, militant mindset for our people if we want complete liberation, especially in the great state of Mississippi.
Well, DuvSac, I heard you say on the program that you do on the Thursday that you and several of the other brothers have been activists in the community for a while.
Yes, sir.
People would come to you with problems, but now that, because you had mentioned that now that you, because you couldn't, if you had it wasn't like you had you could call a press conference so people could hear what you have to say.
Correct.
But now, as the head of that organization, you can call a press conference now and put these community issues right before the public.
Yes,
Talk
sir.
about that from your perspective of using that seat as a bully pulpit.
Right. Well, actually, that's one of the convincing arguments that I use with my friend Torn G and other members that had been in there that had left. I was like, hey, we can be activists all day. When you call them, they don't come. When I call them, they don't come. When we call them together, they don't come. But if we call them as NAACP, they might just come. So and that's what we was banking on. So once we got into leadership and started addressing some real issues that was going on in the community, we found that they would come, they would talk to us, and it got to a point where they even start hearing about things that's going on before we did, and they would call and ask us for our opinions or for a statement, and which got us more involved. So definitely we use that platform with a little bit more weight than me as an individual. Of course it does. It's 100+ years of fighting for the liberation of Black people. It has done some great things for us, but like all organization for Black people has been ruined with niggas. If I can say that on your broadcast, bad. Like right now, we have Black elected officials who are not Black elected officials to me. They might wear the titles as the first Black elected this or the first Black elected that. But when you look at the history, those people who wore those titles broke down barriers. They opened up doors for others for generations to come. These present Black leaders are just getting a check and wearing a title because they are ashamed, like they're ashamed to even admit that they're a Black leader. I mentioned that the president at the branch was the mayor at the time. That's the mayor that I spoke on the other day when I said I asked the mayor how did he feel to be a Black mayor of an 86% Black city, and his instant response was, "I'm everybody mayor." And you only got 14. You only have 14% of others. What do you mean? I understand what you mean, but what are you saying to me? Especially when I see your name down as the president of the NAACP. So that's the type of leadership we're dealing with down here in Mississippi. And I'm sure it's going on throughout the whole state. So that's why we're going through a transition right now of reforming each branch. Well, not each branch. Some branch, I must retract this. Some branch are operating like they should. But those who need reform, we're trying to reform them.
Now, Brother DuvSac, your branch is in the northern part of Mississippi or down near the Delta?
I'm in the north. I'm I'm one county over from Memphis. It's DeSoto, then Marshall.
Okay, so you got other brothers, and the good thing about it, Richard, is with the organization that they have down there, you got men in different quadrants of Mississippi working.
Right.
You got Brother Rick in one area, you got Brother Malik Hayes in another area. I think he's in the Delta. Brother Malik Hayes is in the Delta, aren't you, Brother Malik?
Yes, sir. In the heart of the Mississippi Delta, Greenville, Mississippi.
Yeah, so you got activists from the different quadrants that are working on issues right from the community, but have a conduit now with the NAACP. And also, Brother Patrick, I think it was a brother that you had on the program at one time that was in the NAACP up near you. What was the brother's name, Brother Patrick? Rich, do you remember his name?
No, I don't.
Well, when Brother Patrick come on, he'll refresh my memory. But what I'm saying is that those men are working together, which is more of an effective punch towards dealing with the belly of the beast, so to speak, in Mississippi than in other areas. Go ahead, Richard.
But let me say, Brother DuvSac, right?
Yeah.
First, I would have to say, and as you were laying out the story of your taking over the branch, it made me laugh. People like they dumb, but they was trying to make their moves there.
Right.
It sounded like.
Right.
And that it's insidious, but it also shows that they're clear of what power is and how they can, to the best of their ability. I just had to get that. get that out that they just to hear that, like, look, we can make this work.
Right.
Because I think that's important for us to see, and not just legacy organizations like the NAACP, but a lot of these organizations that have these people in them, how they will, to the extent they will go to resist change,
Yeah.
and how to the extent they will go to hold on power, even at the death of the organization itself.
Yes.
The question I have though is, based off of now being into it, the NAACP, how do you see young people in your organizing effort responding to the, possibly going to become a member, but more importantly, just based off of your work, how do you see them responding to being, the NAACP as far as the image wise?
Well, I'll be the first to say the image of the organization has been damaged in the community, although it still carry weight in the community. Our youth look at it as somewhat of a back in the day. We don't really need it now until that brick fall in their lap, until they faced with an issue in the courts, or they got pulled over and think they was handled a little rough, and then they reach. And then I think it's because of our consistency. They over the first 3 or 4 years, they consistently saw us in the news. They saw us in the community, standing up for the least of thee. I'm talking about no elite person, the least of thee. And we were standing up for these people, and going toe to toe with the sheriff, or with the judge, or whoever was handling that case or handling that issue with them. So we kind of won them over the years, but they still reluctant and dragging their feet because of the corruption that we're under here in Holly Springs. Say if you come to me and you was done wrong by an officer, by the time we call the sheriff, call the DA, talk to your lawyer, your public offender, public defender, there's still no justice, because all of them are working in cahoots. Your public defender going to go along with the DA. The DA doing what the sheriff and the detective tell them to do. So at the end of the day, nothing really changed, but we stood up for them. They saw us fighting with you. They saw us in the trenches with you. Or lately, once the government officials and the politicians realized that we wasn't gonna fade away, or we wasn't just overnight come by and gone the next day, they realized that they had to start changing some of their tactics. And or they might, instead again, they was trying to get a young man recently here who shot at a white lady. He didn't shoot her; he shot her car, but she didn't get hit. And they had him on a $3 million bond. But one of my homies killed my other homie, and he was out within a week for $10,000. And we made a stance on that. Like, no, the parent is not saying that their son did not shoot the car. She simply wants justice, and you can't show me justice when both people are in jail. One of them in jail for attempted murder, the other in jail for murder. The murder get out for $10,000. Attempted murder still in jail for $3 million. And then he was facing 50 years for shooting at a white woman. 50 years. So with the press and the social media platform, we put enough pressure on him that the mother. We also wrote a letter on behalf of the young man, and the mother called and giving us thanks that she do believe our efforts helped them come from $50,000 down. 50 years down to 30 years, and suspended 15. So he's doing 15 for just shooting at a white woman. But here it is. We got two murderers walking around in the streets every day right now. That's the system we're under here. So when the youth see that, they know we want them. They know we're there for them. They know we'll try. They know we'll fight for them. But they still seem to have a sense of hopelessness because those powers that be still in office. And that's why after 3-4 years of fighting for our people, we know now, myself and Twan G and other members of the branch, we start running for office. So go back to that piece you asked earlier, Brother Elliot, about we supposed to be nonpartisan. We are as a branch, but each member can do what they like to do, what they heart, lead them to do. And we've been so involved going throughout each department of the government and knowing that there's no help for our people. So we know now we got to run and get these people out of office. We got to become the people in office. We got to become those who with that power, that little power we do have of our community. We have to be the ones in those seats because right now we're being occupied by blacks and majority Black women, and it's not in favor of an 86% populated Black community.
And if I may, Elliot, I wanted to ask both of you gentlemen what I'm interested in. There's a couple of things I'm interested in, and I'm interested in, how does the local issues using it, and I recognize that the NAACP is a tool. It's a tool towards overcoming oppression and towards liberation. Just that, especially for you men, it's not something that you're in because of what it is, but it's something to use to get to a goal. And I'm wondering, like, when we look at the state structure that Scotty was talking about earlier in the national structure, what is the issue that the major issue that you're addressing, where it aligns with the state NAACP and the national NAACP, and have they responded because of your activism of utilizing the local, being engaged in the local? Is there an issue? And your issues may be different because of your location. Is it an issue that's aligned with the state and local NAACP, and have they provided informal or informal support based off of that issue being, a part of the NAACP issue agenda? If that makes sense to you.
It does. Well, I guess I'll jump in there first. In the beginning, we got resistance from state because the old heads was calling them, so-called reporting us that we was out of compliance, and we're just taking on any type of, we're just speaking on different things that we should speak on. So once I relayed to them that everything that we speak on is on the platform, is off the platform, and because the organization is very thorough now. Like I said, I was very critical of it because of the actions, but the thought process and the theory of the NAACP is well thought. So the platform they have, there's nothing in your community that's going to take place that don't fall on that platform somehow, some way. Whether it's criminal reform, whether it's voter suppression, or getting turnout to vote, or police brutality. All that is on the platform, and so nothing that's going to go on in our community that's not on the platform. So once I relayed that to state conference, they seemed to back off on trying to be regulate us, and went to a more of a guidance type deal. And I don't really speak to everybody in state conference. I call one or two specific individuals that I know got years under their belt, that has been the president of the state conference over a period of time, but not in that position now. So they can offer me wisdom. And we talk on the record and off the record, just when it comes to this struggle for Black people. And they understand me. They understand that I'm very passionate, that with or without this title or the branch, I'm gonna do what I do for my community. And once I conveyed that to them, they knew then who they're dealing with, and that I'm not gonna do anything to jeopardize the name of the NAACP, but I'm gonna fight for our people. And it might piss some people off that they're not as radical or militant that I am. But I just gonna say, with National was very supportive. I had to do a call to action in Bahia, Mississippi, under my first tenure as president, and they gave me no resistance on national support on that.
And brother, from the southern part of Mississippi, how is your relationship, and what is that issue that aligns with the state and the national from your experience?
Who, me?
No, you talking to Brother Malik.
Right.
Brother Malik, excuse me.
Family, I'm actually in the western central part of the state. Yeah, I'm more Western Central. Now, as far as the NAACP goes, that would be more Brother DuvSac lane. I am actually just working with him through the Black Liberation Movement and the Mississippi on the Move platform. We have merged to further what we're trying to do when it comes to the political aspect of the state of Mississippi. Now, there was something that Brother Scotty and Brother DuvSac said that just stood out to me, and that was the infiltration of the organizations in two different locations. I want to commend Brother Scotty Reed for what he's doing with the NAACP up in Gaston County, Gaston and Gastonia. I've actually traveled through there. I'm a truck driver by trade, so I've been to Gastonia quite a few times. And the infiltration of the NAACP actually has an element to me of the spook that's set by the door. It actually has that element of going in and just seeing what's going on, and then doing the following, which was voting people out and voting people in. Because the element of the coons, the dysfunctional marriage with the Democratic Party that Black people have had for so many years, and the fear and desperation are the things that push us to just blindly vote for different politicians that doesn't have our interests as Black people. We don't get full representation. So I really commend you two brothers for doing what you're doing and trying to change the course of the NAACP and the way they're doing things, because somebody used the term legacy organization. I believe that was Brother Richard. Yes, that used the term legacy organization. And these legacy organizations have gone to sleep, historically, when it comes to fighting for Black people, especially when it comes to the political realm, because Brother Scotty said something that really surprised me when he said that the NAACP is nonpartisan. See, it's supposed to be nonpartisan. But I imagine it's the coons that are in bed with these politicians, or got in bed with these politicians at some time and helped to marry us off to the Democratic Party. And that was one of the things with this election, with this past election cycle, the governor's election. We were so married to, and I know I'm changing the subject a little bit.
Oh, go ahead.
We're so married to the Democratic Party, and out of fear and desperation, that we would rather vote for the lesser of two evils. I heard Brother Scotty Reed speak to that element when it came to Trump and Biden, and that's exactly what happened. We voted for Biden out of fear and desperation, and the dysfunctional marriage that we've had with the Democratic Party for probably over 65 years now. So it was that climate here in Mississippi, the last election cycle, where people were divided. If that was a whole. This was, put it like this. This was the most engaged I've seen people in Mississippi in an election in a long time. This was across the board, young and old, because they actually, like I said, they didn't want to vote for Tate Reeves, no doubt. But when you talk about Brandon Presley coming from out of nowhere with no resume of doing anything for Black people, he campaigned on his word alone, and he had scoured the state, and his best scouring was in the Mississippi Delta, which is predominantly west of I-55. So he saw the demographics. He saw that there were more people, the concentration of Black people is right here in the Mississippi Delta. So that is the area that he targeted. And I call it a chitlin circuit that he went on.
Mm.
So he was at we have an annual hot tamale festival here in Greenville. It's the biggest hot tamale festival, largest hot tamale festival in the country. And Brandon Presley, as you know, was in town. He was at the Blues Festival, the annual Blues Festival we had here. He was on the HBCU campuses of Mississippi Valley State, Alcorn State, Jackson State. He did his best chitlin circuit tour. And what did he do? He galvanized black people to come out and vote for him on his word alone. No resume. No resume. And like I said, people were so divided on this thing because you had staunch Democrats and you had those of them who were what we would consider members of civil and social organizations helping to push the agenda that we have to get another Democrat in the office because Tate Reeves they was talking like the sky was going to fall out. Like the earth was going to cave in if we had Tate Reeves for another 4 years. We had Phil Bryant, who happens to be, if I'm not mistaken, the cousin or nephew of Carolyn Bryant. He was governor for 8 years, and then we had Tate Reeves for 4 years.
Is that Emmett Till Bryant?
Yes, that is the Carolyn Bryant that was involved in the murder of Emmett Till. Phil, I think it's Phil Bryant, which was the governor for 8 years. That is her, if I'm not mistaken, her cousin or her nephew. So black people had gotten to the point in this state until they was just tired, sick and tired of being sick and tired. So they, in desperation, wanted to just vote Tate Reeves out of office. And I was telling people that we don't know what this white boy president has to
unmute yourself.
because he was selected. He was selected. We even heard some commentators on the news talking about the conservative campaign that he was running. As a Democrat or a liberal, he was running a conservative campaign. And he was getting donations from conservatives. You had campaign ads where you had Republicans supporting Brandon Presley, which was odd. And the aftermath of that election, you talk about the day after, because I watched the election results all night, and I would go back and forth from the election results to social media just to see what the commentary, just to check the temperature. And when people saw that Brandon Presley he was too far behind to win, and that's when the fallout started. The aftermath started to clear, and people started to wonder what happened because they had a ballot shortage in Hinds County. They just had a ballot shortage out of nowhere in Hinds County. So they extended the voting hours. I think it was another hour or two, so that they could get those ballots to the precinct where people could vote that had been standing in line for hours. But the people started to point fingers. They just, out of frustration, they started to point fingers. Well, young people didn't get out to vote. Well, people just didn't. They're not into politics enough to vote. They don't know how important voting Brandon Tate Reeves out of office was, and it wasn't that. I've come to the conclusion that black people are tired of not getting anything for their vote. We're tired of stepping to the polls every 4 years or 2 years and not getting anything for our vote. Right. How is it that Mississippi has more black elected officials, if I'm not mistaken, in any other state, and the politics don't reflect the demographics, the racial demographics, especially here in the Delta, which is considered the poorest part of the state. And this is the part of the state, as I said before, is highly concentrated with our people. So how is it that the politics don't reflect us? I mean, even in my town, the small town that I live in, Greenville, Mississippi, we just had a black mayor. This would be his second term. He just won his second term. He's of my generation. But the politics in this city do not reflect the racial demographics, because black people are like 80% in this city, 75 to 80%, give or take. But when you look at the black community in this city, gentrification is everywhere, and it's constant. But when you look at the white demographics and you look at the white population where they live, they're constantly building, they're constantly adding on, you know. So how is it that we have a black mayor in this city? It's not addressing black issues, and that's the purpose of Black Liberation Movement, Mississippi on the Move, and NAACP, along with the Elmer Geronimo Pratt, which is the military platform of these organizations. We want to be able to comb this state and galvanize our people and politically educate them to where we, as brothers, Scotty Reed said, grooming our candidates, so we can press a black agenda. It's time for us to address us. It's time for us to address us first. And why not here in the state of Mississippi, what we start to call now the Black Mecca? And we encouraging, if I'm not mistaken, I saw this on one of the shows, Brother Elliott. It was the Great Migration. If I'm not mistaken, it was the Great Migration back to the South. Because as we said, we're getting ready to try to take this state. And I don't want to use the word try. We are going to take this state because we are the majority in this state. We are the majority in this state. And Brandon Presley knew that. He knew this. As I said, he put on his cousin blue suede shoes and pulled out his guitar. He went down to the blues and eat some hot chili and everything. Yeah, exactly. He played his played his best blues tune, that good old Mississippi Delta blues, and he went on his Chitlin Circuit tour, and he managed to sing our people to sleep. I get so tired of seeing Brandon Presley signs in this everywhere I went. Brandon Presley. He came through this city three times during his campaign. So he pretty much was trying to convince the people in the Delta that he was the one without having his whole resume. And that's what I didn't understand about our people. How can we trust this white boy when we've never gotten anything from white people and we've never gotten anything from the Democratic Party, even when we had a black president? We got nothing. Barack didn't even speak to us after he got elected. He didn't even wave at us after we got elected. So why would I trust this white boy, Brandon Presley? So, as I said, we are planning and we're in motion as we speak. I met with a group on yesterday. We had breakfast yesterday morning. It was a small group of brothers and sisters. A brother called a meeting. He wanted to do something for Christmas for the homeless and the elderly. And at that meeting, I started to address the political aspect of the city. And when we started that conversation, because this is the time, after this election, black people saw something. And they really sick and tired of the politics. And that conversation morphed into that little group right there, eating breakfast. They formed an organization right there to address the political, what we call the plantation politics here in the Mississippi Delta. There's a great book by a brother named Clyde Woods called Development Arrested. I don't know if any of you have heard of it. And it says the blues and plantation power in the Mississippi Delta. And this system of plantation politics has been going on forever. And you have capitulated black leadership who are instruments of this plantation power, the plantation politics, should I say. And we are definitely seeking to remove these coons, starting on the local level. Because as the brother said earlier, all politics are local. So starting on the local level, we're going to remove these coons, these capitulated Negroes, and we're going to start to show our people that the right elected official, the right elected black official with a black agenda will address the problems and the issues that really mean something to everyday working class black people who are living just above the poverty line or just below the poverty line or in poverty, period. Because the candidates that we've been having hadn't been addressing those demographics. Brandon Presley's agenda, in my opinion, was to get elected and address working class white people and poor white people. And the same case scenario, black people get crumbs. We get the leftovers. And you have these capitulated black leaders who control the monies that come into these communities. And what they do is they funnel the money back into themselves or whatever organization they set up to funnel money in. These civic and social organizations, some of these Divine Nine members, you know, all these people have to be addressed, the churches. We seeking to use these organizations as tools. We want to weaponize them because we don't want to rock the vote no more. We want to weaponize the vote. It's time to take, as Brother DuvSac said, it's time to take a more militant approach. See, because we can weaponize anything we want. So we want to weaponize our vote.
Which brings me to this question of political education.
Richard, hold on one second, because we got a sister that worked with Scotty down there trying to organize down in Gastonia. Before I go to Brother Patrick and a few of the others, I want to try to get her on just so she can have a few words because I think she kind of heard the conversation. Sister Sierra down there in Gastonia. Sister Sierra, can you hear me?
Came off mic.
Sister Sierra. Let's put it back on hold there. She got to get things situated. Go ahead, Richard.
No, what Brother Malik was raising, because in this time, and for anybody to come in on is the political education that needs to be done. I like for us to be able to, based off, especially, and I really do, as far as Mississippi and Scotty, you're in North Carolina, and we're at the micro level and talking about NAACP chapters, organizing within those chapters in order to address issues. What is the political education has to, what is that process in these communities that you see have to be developed? Because political education is necessary in order to be able to identify who to groom and also to be able to select the right candidate. Anybody?
Well, taking it back to the NAACP, like I said, before I joined, a friend of mine had downloaded a copy of their entire bylaws, all everything, from A to Z. And so when I started reading those bylaws and reading about the standing committees that every branch should have, they're not required to have them all, but they should have them. And political education is one of those. Again, while you're supposed to be a nonpartisan organization, you can't advocate based on the issues. If a politician, you issue a report card and say, these issues line up with our mission statement, to help the Black community, people of color, in the area of civil rights, you can do that. But in terms of raising up, because that's the only way I see out of our collective condition is for us to do just like the establishment do. You don't think the establishment grooms their candidates? Man, they pick these kids in high school with an aptitude for politics and do everything they can to support them.
Right.
And so, again, all of these different standing committees within the NAACP, I was like, you know, this is, like Richard was saying, this is a legacy organization with a brand, with a branded name, and we should absolutely use it as a vehicle, you know, to make life better for our people here in Gaston County. So, I mean, our local branch just fell down on the job so much. And, you know, like I invited Sierra, I think Sierra joined us. I tell her all the time, she could be a future mayor of Gastonia, on the city council, you know, because she's that involved and she networks within the Democratic Party. But her heart is for the black folks. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, if y'all wanted to bring her in and ask her perspective on what was going on here, certainly do that.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, now, yeah.
I'm so sorry. I apologize for that inconvenience. I do have a 1-year-old in my background, so I apologize for y'all. But real quick, I agree with everything that Scotty just said. Our local, there's so much stuff that we have to do, and I think that the first thing that we are going to have to do is just get all on one accord. You know, we got to get one agenda. We got to organize. We got to get people together. And when, you know, those people, like I've been talking to the people in the Democratic Party, people that are not helping us or helping this county, you're going to have to do away with those people, because it's getting to the point on our local places that we just don't know who to trust. We got people that I feel that are hitting Republicans, you know, like it's real messy. So politically, my trust has really just been messed up lately, because it's like people, you just don't know who people are. And as far as the NAACP, I could go on and on about this NAACP, but it's very disappointing just to know that, I apologize for the noise, just in these positions for so long, and when you ask them about, you know, what have they done, what show me something, they can show you nothing. And this is a group that is supposed to be, you know, helping black people and for black people, and yet they've done nothing at all. And they really won't even show up for the people that are doing the work, you know, because it's all this, oh, we don't want to one-up this person, or we don't want to, it's really, really messy. So I think that our county personally has a lot of work to do. Scotty loves that word gatekeeper, and we have them here. It's like, you know, this boys club, and they all are for this hidden agenda that nobody really knows anything about. But what we do know is that it's not benefiting us. So I don't know. It's a mess. It really is a mess. And for me personally, I struggle with just trying to find out how to fix it. Like, I feel like we just sometimes so far in the hole that I just can't figure out how to bounce back. But just like Scotty said, my first priority is my community. And that's that whole thing, you know, do you want to be in the seat or do you want to be in the streets? You know, I do a lot of work in the streets, and that's where I feel like I'm just most beneficial. But then when I keep looking out for people that are supposed to be going to get in the seats, it's like, y'all, I don't feel I'm qualified to really, really speak up for my people. So I have been dodging those seats, but it just seems like eventually I'm going to have to get myself together to really, really step up there to, you know, just change the thing.
Yeah, well, listen, Sarah, I know you can get frustrated sometimes and you know, feel as though your work is in vain, but a lot of people out there see what you're doing that are working in the same vein you're working in. You hear several of them tonight in different states. I'm quite sure in other states and other counties, it's people doing the same thing. So we just got to keep working, keep pushing. I see your work that you're working with Scotty. It's other activists on the line. So you got family here, and we all, even though I'm not I'm not in North Carolina at all, but you can see that we're all on the same page and trying to work together.
And it is reassuring to jump on these calls sometimes and just be around like-minded individuals. Sometimes I don't know if you guys feel the same way. It's like you talk to people and sometimes they just really just don't understand it, or they shake their head in advance and they still really just don't get it. Like they just don't. And I also struggle with just going to our communities and just trying to get people to understand the importance of voting, and then you get bit with, okay, well, like y'all just were talking about, they're not doing anything to benefit me, and so it's just like, I can agree with that. Like, why are we voting? Like, why should I be out here telling people but I do try to remain hopeful. I am like one of the most hopeful people. Like I'm just hoping that somehow, some way, if it's God's will that He put it in me to figure it out, to figure out a strategy, to figure out how to get people involved. That's the one thing that I feel like if we really just come together, so much can change. They're really scared of us. The day that we really, really step up there and really, really go demand the things that we want, people are so terrified of us. They really, really are. But they bank on the fact that they know we're not going to show up or really be involved as we should sometimes.
Thank you for your contribution, Sierra. Let's go. I want to get Sister Crystal involved in the conversation because she's involved in Mississippi on the Move. She's an activist down in Mississippi. Sister Crystal, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh,
can y'all hear me?
She's here. Okay.
Greetings. How you doing?
Good.
Greetings. Black Power.
You heard Sister Sierra. She's up there in Gastonia. She talks about her activism, and she gets kind of frustrated at times. Talk about it from your perspective, because I know you hear the commonality in what she's saying.
Yes, definitely. And when she was talking about people saying they shake their head like they get it, but they really don't get it because you see it reflected in their inaction. I felt that because it's just like when we're doing the IT Academy, and you have people talk about we need to be teaching our own children anyway, and then you offer the program and we don't show up, or you have to really put in the work. I call it a grind. We have to grind so hard to get people to participate, and so. You don't stop because, as she said, we believe in us. We know we can do it. We just need the collective of us to believe that we can do it. And so, it's something that we talk about, and we brainstorm and just have our sessions all the time on what we have to do to wake our people up. And one thing that we all agree on is that we continue to do the work. And people will see, the fruition of what we are working on come to light. The frustration, we carry that with us all the time, and it really is a driving force for us to continue to do the work. I talk about staying grounded, encouraged, and inspired, and it's calls like this where we all come together. People out there, they are doing the work. One thing one of our beloved Bobbers told us, Dr. Murphy, was, we aren't, we just kind of disconnected. We had to connect again. And that is one of, the benefits of technology is that we can become connected and we can encourage and inspire each other to continue to work. I'm just happy to hear that there are other people who are doing this, who are taking control of these legacy organizations and changing the focus and changing the direction and the course of what we have to do. It's going to take that for sure. I know when they were talking about the NAACP in their areas, and the one in Marshall County, I'm in Tate County, Mississippi, and you see some of the same issues. So the NAACP Tate County is age population, and so when you talk about going in and joining them and taking over, it's refreshing for me because, hey, we've been out here doing this work for a minute, and it's encouraging. The whole pod is encouraging me, and to keep on, keep moving. Tuning in to you all. I tell people all the time, you really need to tune in to South Point Awakening because you all have really taught me a lot about the politics. Everything is political. It's one of our Bible says, and I'm learning that by listening to you all each week.
Let me go to a couple of these callers and see. Let's go to New York. New York. New York. Let me put him back on hold. Let's go over here to Hazelhurst, Mississippi. Hazelhurst, you're there. You're open. Maybe they just listen. Let's go to let's bring Brother Patrick in here. Brother Patrick.
Yes, sir, Bobby. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Power.
You heard some of your comrades down here in Mississippi, and then you heard some of your fellow comrades in the struggle up here in North Carolina talk about what they're dealing with and the struggles. We were down there, myself and Brother Richard, down there a couple months ago, and seeing the work that's being done and the organizing efforts that are going on. But talk about it from your perspective. You heard the sister say that sometimes she gets a little discouraged. Just talk about it from your perspective of maybe some encouragement or some perspective on what she's saying.
Well, let me first of all speak to that sister because that frustration and that discouragement, me and Sister Crystal talked about it often. As a matter of fact, we talked about it today. And let me say this. This conversation is so needed. I'm sitting back here, I'm just listening to Brother DuvSac. I'm listening to Commander Malik Haynes. I'm listening to the brother Scotty, who's doing the wonderful work in North Carolina. And I'm listening to, the sister there. And I'm elated because it's all coming full circle, to me and the work that we've been doing here in Mississippi for about 12 years now. But Brother Elliott, you got the NAACP, a legacy organization, as you say. And I think back from my childhood and coming up as a young adult and what the NAACP meant to me and what I saw. And what I saw was what a lot of young black people saw. I saw an organization that was based on education. I saw an organization that was coming up in the church culture. I saw an organization that was non-frictionless to white supremacy, an organization that was inconsequential to critical outcomes for black people. I seen an organization that stressed education and pushed baccalaureate services in the churches. That was the most that I've seen from the NAACP. But the real issues were not addressed, in hindsight. And so as I matured into the person that I have become, the NAACP became very annoying to me. Annoying. It was annoying to me. It is still annoying to me for the most part. But the glimmers of light that we begin to see, the DuvSac. I even tried to be instrumental in getting Baba Shabaka Afrika, one of my great teachers who took over the NAACP in Westminster, Arkansas, in Crittenton County, right across the river here, and right here in the Delta. But, we're saying all that to say that we right on time, and all of this hinges in Mississippi on the work of the Black Liberation Movement. And I'll remind us that in 2021, we began to embark upon an agenda that we call Mississippi on the Move. And we had launched a 10-city town talk tour where we wanted to go into predominantly black townships all throughout Mississippi and begin to have a critical conversation about our political condition throughout this vastly populous black populated state. We've seen the capitulation, but who was speaking to it? None of the establishment Negroes that we're talking about was speaking to the black people resource and the politics that did not reflect the body of the people. Yes, we have more black elected officials than any state in the United States, right here in the city. But it is not reflected in a manner that deals with the critical historical deficiencies of black people. So we had to have something that was calling the attention to these issues and calling out capitulated black leadership. And while we suffer these injustices, and I'm gonna say this because I would rather sit back and just listen tonight. The black church and the NAACP traditionally have been so interwoven, so incubated, but so non-frictionless, non-abrasive, and inconsequential for black people in the community till the paradigm. But now that paradigm is shifting, is what I'm trying to say. You know, if we had taken all the churches that's in the black community, if they were as effective as they should be, because what I'm saying is that the NAACP, for the most part, and black churches deserve an overhaul. All of them, for the most part, deserve an overhaul because they have, for the most part, been inconsequential to the outcome for black people. We have to take the hands of these establishment Negroes that are at the helm of these organizations and begin to pry them loose, like what DuvSac does, what Scotty has done. Go in and pry their hands from the helm of these organizations that's so interwoven into the black community, so that we can begin to have a leadership that reflects the people. It's very simple. It's very simple. So rehashing that agenda, which is what we're doing with Mississippi on the Move, and hearing Brother Scott, hearing the young sisters saying what they're saying, it reminds me of what Crystal was trying to say about Baba Dr. Murphy and what he was telling us. He said we're not as divided as we are disconnected. We connect them dots now. This conversation that we having right now among these people that have been galvanized together. And Brother Elliot, you and Brother Richard, you know, from the time we first met, when we would fight down here trying to get Karen Brian Dunham arrested for the atrocities that she and the two white men and all the white collaborators did to our brother Emmett Till, but not only Emmett Till, they did it to the humanity of black people. That's when we met. And since then, we've been locked at the hip. Locked still. I'm talking about time for the awakening, Brother Elliot, Brother Richard, and the Black Liberation Movement here in Mississippi. So much so that you come down here to our 7th annual Black Liberation Movement Building Power Summit. So much so that now you are intricately involved. And we want to use your resource to bring more black people to Mississippi, what we call the method that we established here. And continue to make this paradigm shifting change and model example of what it is that we are gonna portray. Not trying, but what we are gonna portray. So, you know, I'm just happy to go right now. I'm not as frustrated as I was this morning. I'm hearing the conversation take place right now that's needed. I think this is the most consequential conversation that black people can be had. It's the one that we have right now to change our condition. And like Tobacco Africa would say, if he was on this phone call tonight and I was unable to get him on here, he would ask, where's our imagination as a black people? Can we imagine a nation? How is that done? How is that done? Sometimes I tell people, Brother Elliot, I must be the wrong Patrick. Because when Patrick Henry asked for liberation, he got it. When Patrick Lumumba asked, he got to go through hell and high water to get it. But see, tonight it feels a little better tonight. So I'm elated. At hearing what I'm hearing from brother Scotty, the sister. I'm elated from hearing what I'm hearing with my own people right here in Mississippi. Just to hear Brother Malik and to hear Brother DuvSac, and just to see how we all have come together under the banner of liberation that we pushing for our people, irregardless of the pushback against us. So I just want to continue to encourage, everybody that's on this phone. We're not as divided as we are disconnected. And I think, we beginning to connect those dots. Brother Elliott, Brother Richard, we appreciate you for reaching out, and making sure that we're able to connect these people and continue this work.
Let me take a couple more. At the time we got left, let me take a couple more of these calls. Let's go to 215. 215?
Good evening, Brother Elliott. How you doing?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Brother Richard. Hello to you all. You get Brother Patrick, Brother Scotty, sister's name. All the ones that's there right now. If I miss anybody, forgive me. Hello to everybody. How everybody doing tonight?
Great. Black Powell.
Oh, we great, brother. Doing fine, power, bro.
Praise be to Allah. How you doing, sister? One thing is crystal clear to me here in Philadelphia is that it seems to me that our sisters and brothers down in the South is definitely they committed way more conscious and more together as far as unity go than these Negroes up here in Philadelphia up in the North. Because, you don't hear the kind of talk that I'm hearing tonight. And I mean this from my heart. You don't hear the kind of talk about holding this Democrat Party accountable. Like, y'all in the South, y'all in Mississippi, y'all in North Carolina, but you calling the Democrat Party out. Here in Philadelphia, these Negroes, they slave to this white Democrat Party, man. And these handkerchief-head Negroes they got as keepers, man. They don't say the things they say they y'all saying tonight. And look at how our people in the pickle, I think was Brother Patrick or somebody, maybe Brother Patrick, I forgot who it was, but they were talking about the situation with the governor's race down there. Now look at the pickle our people have been at. You got to choose between the devil like Tate Reeves or whatever. Then you got Elvis Presley's cousin running. That's his only resume. He's running on the fact that he's Elvis Presley's distant cousin. And then that other bigot that was the governor before, I forgot whether it was the Democratic Republican, Calvin Bryan's cousin or whatever like that. I mean, and then you what's going on with the presidential race. We as black people, we always put the position that we got to vote for the lesser two evils. There's never a thing where you say, well, I'm going to pick this candidate because he's just a better, him or her is a better candidate. We as black folks, we always put in a position in this country because these House Negroes in the Democrat Party, and we got to vote for the lesser two evils. Your white devil is better than my white devil. That's what it always comes down to, like the brother said earlier, when it came out of Trump and Biden. That's what was put in. But if you don't vote for Biden, you're going to get Trump. If you don't vote for Hillary Clinton, you're going to get Trump. If you don't vote for Walter Mondale, you're going to get Reagan. If you don't vote for you're going to get George Bush. We always put in that position, man. Are we as black people tired of that dynamic? I mean, you would think dynamic. And where is the kind of that? We vote for so-called devil, the Democrat Party, we still get kicked in the ass. And we know you're going to get kicked in the behind when it comes to the Reagans and the Bush of the world. And we get these people like the Bidens and the Clintons in there. And the Bidens, we get the crime bills. Respect Stroud. The Clinton super president. I mean, we just all the ways, man. I mean, we got to change our thought process and move in a different direction. And that's why I appreciate what y'all sisters and brothers doing down in Mississippi and North Carolina. And y'all in southern states, and y'all more forward thinking than these Negroes up here in Philadelphia. It's so the Democrat Party. Because, and I'll say this one couple of things I get on to monopolize the conversation. I'll say this one more thing and two more things I don't. It's like the brother was saying about the Negro down in, I think it was in North Carolina, Brother Scotty was saying how he was running around here with, promoting white businesses. But we had the same thing up here in Philadelphia. When COVID first happened in 2020, at a time when black businesses, barbershops, the lines, all of them was facing closure and couldn't get no kind of, financial aid to get help. We had a black city councilman. He ran around with white and Asian businesses, mainly Asian businesses. He ran around with them. And here they got two Asian people at the time on city council and stuff. Yeah, they was running around supporting their people, which I have no problem with. And so this Negro supporting black businesses, he ran around with Asian business people at a time when black businesses was closing. I mean, this is the kind of disrespect that these Negroes show towards our people, man. I mean, this dynamic has got to stop. I mean, this can't keep going on this way. And so I just want to thank y'all in closing for being conscious down here in North Carolina and Mississippi and states like that, southern states, and holding that Democrat Party accountable and stuff like that. I wish we had more black people getting put up in this sort of stuff. I want to say, now, you know, and it's from Ellen, I listen to the rest of the show.
Thanks for your contribution, brother.
You're welcome.
Let's go to Arizona, 602. 602.
Yes, Brother Elliot and Brother Richard, and good evening to the panelists. Yes, Brother Marcus here. Greetings.
Greetings.
I'm doing all right, good brother. You know, it's similar thing happened right here in Memphis, you know. It's a predominantly black city. Over 700,000 black folks live here. But they only control 0.02% of the local economy. You know, yes, we have a lot of black political figures, but we don't run the economy of the community. And that's really what it boils down to, you know. It's the economy. It's the who control the money. And, you know, I have been through Greenwood, Mississippi. I've been through some of these communities. And one thing I noticed that it's lacking, it's people. You know, there's no people here. The population is so low. The infrastructure is good. They got, you know, I mean, the roads may not be that good, but they got a sewage system. They got electricity, you know. I mean, that presents opportunity, you know. That presents opportunity for Negroes that live in the north who are catching hell in the north. We should partnership with our brothers and sisters in the south and take advantage of some of those opportunities and repopulate those places and establish businesses in those communities. I mean, some of the strips, when you say the town, when you say you go to town, there's nothing in the town. It's buildings, you know, abandoned or boarded up. You know what I'm saying? So we need to have a kind of shift to population shift from the north back to the south. You know, because that is the poor base. That is the real poor base. It ain't up there in them cities. You know what I'm saying? And when you wear this world pivoting into, we may have to move out in them cities. Quick, fast, in a hurry. Because the way this thing looking, you know, so anything might jump off. You know what I'm saying? So we really should start connecting with the brothers and sisters down in Mississippi, down in North Carolina, because that is the power base. It is, you know, that if something jump off, we got to head back that direction. If you go eat some food, if you're going to get some water, you know what I'm saying? You've got to be south. It ain't up there, it's not, my brother. You know, because everything got to be trucked in. In them cities, everything got to come in on a truck. At least down so here, you can go shoot a pig or shoot a deer, you know, okay, go to the river, get some water, you know, because it may get to that point. I'm telling you, next year, you're going to see something, you're going to see hell pop next year. If it don't start before, I'm telling you. Anyway, brothers and sisters, down south, keep on keeping on, and we with you. That's all I got to say.
All praise to do.
Thanks for your contribution.
No problem.
Elliot, once again, and I hope that everyone, you know, bear with me. I'm always, as I listen to our conversation, as we're developing our, what I call strategic understanding of once again, right, in this moment, for the acquisition of power. Well, I think that we should be clear that that's what we're talking about. And we're using all the tools in the toolbox. I think that it should be. And so I wanted to share this. You know, I'm always thinking about, somebody asked me earlier somewhere else, do I play chess? And I just know how to move, the pieces move. I keep losing all the time. I don't know what that is, a bad thinking or whatever. But I do think that we need to think from the perspective of grand strategy, right? Like the question of where we're going. And I just wanted to share this thought as I'm going through this text of rethinking grand strategy, just as the idea for me to let you know how I'm viewing this conversation. And it says, as military theorists Colin Graves argue, an intimate and intricate bond exists between strategic culture and the decision made by those in positions of responsibility within a security community. Strategic culture can be conceived as the context out there that surrounds and gives meaning to strategic behavior. Everything a security community does, if not a manifestation of strategic culture, is at least an example of behavior affected by culturally shaped or encultured people, organizations, procedures, and weapons. The impact of strategic culture is often subtle. It is ubiquitous and applies to groups, ideals, beliefs operating outside of formal politics and policy making. And I just wanted to end on these two thoughts. Three main types of grand strategy: grand plans, grand principles, and grand behaviors. When viewed as a way of organizing knowledge situated within and emanated from a distinct historical and cultural context, the ideal of grand strategy becomes more mobile, and it contends and operates more readily and apparent. And I just, why I'm inspired from this conversation, because it is talking about, we're listening, and, as brother said about the South in general, and we're talking about specific communities, broader, Mississippi, just as broad, North Carolina, and even more, granular, the particular areas using the tools of NAACP. But we are talking about, if you don't mind me saying it like this, we're talking about a grand strategy of what victory is. It's not what we're trying to achieve, what it is. And I think that once we continue to define what victory is, if y'all don't mind me saying this, that will be inspirational to the communities that are not utilizing the tools like even voting or organizing or coming into these legacy organizations in order to utilize that for our liberation. That grand strategy, to articulate that clearly in different ways in our different areas, I think can be an inspiration. And in this moment right here, that's what y'all were doing for me, articulating a strategic culture that's happening in different places. Y'all didn't know each other, and coming up with the same operational plan and strategic behavior in relationship to what you have to do, and providing even to each other inspiration to deal with this here that's in front of us, because it is warfare. I don't know if I should say that, but them old people in those positions, and they first line, we ain't even get to the fourth line yet, right? So I just wanted to share that. And I don't know, but hopefully it's relevant.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Rich.
Listen, before we go this evening, I just want to raise this question. It's not really a question, it's just an observation to Brother DuvSac and Brother Scotty and Sister, if she would have her way in, because she's a part of that reorganization of the NAACP up there in County. Because we see the heart and the intentions of the activists that's on tonight. And we clearly realize, because Scotty mentioned it, he alluded to it earlier, that the National had as their keynote speaker and gave her an award, Hillary Clinton, up there in Boston. So we see that the brass, and I'll use that term, the top brass of these organizations, even though they use Black people as the window dressing, they might not have the salvation of Black people really in their mind. I think it's more about control. So So when we see certain things happen, like, for example, when we met Brother Patrick and the activism they were doing around Carolyn Bryant being the warrant being served on her, and a lot of the NAACP chapters in Mississippi didn't even want to talk about it. In fact, it was only one activist, and Brother Patrick, his name escapes me. He came on with us, and I think he was the chapter head in one of the counties down there.
Brother Charles Bartley in South County.
Yeah, and when he mentioned it to, because I think at the time, Benny Thompson and them had meetings down there. They had some type of recognition, something for the NAACP down there. And he said that he talked with somebody in the parking lot because they didn't even bring it up in the national meeting. So it was certain things that the people might want, that the black public might want, that some of these organizations might not want to deal with. And that might put you in the crosshair, so to speak. I'll use another example. Up there right outside of New York, I think it's Greenwood, isn't it, Richard? They put one of the activists that have been active in the community for a number of years had commissioned a mural to be built in the black community with over 200 images from slavery on up to the current day of activists involved in our struggle. The mayor of the town, who happened to be Jewish, was against the mural, and he got other people, and it happened to be black, to speak against the mural because one of the images on the mural was Minister Farrakhan. And they were saying that he was anti-Semitic. They didn't want him on the mural. The activists were saying, well, this is a black mural in the black community talking about people that was instrumental in a black struggle. But it was a big fight about that. Now, I contacted personally the NAACP head up there in that town. It was right outside of New York City. And she told me out of her own mouth, well, because I asked her position on it, because the activists told me that they had went to her several times to get her to stand with the community. And she told me out of her own mouth, well, I was instructed not to get involved. So, we can kind of see that in certain cases, it's other people that might direct some of these kids. And this is just me talking. I think that Brother DuvSac and Scotty knows that when you're building these chapters, that you have to build strong people.
Yes, sir.
And strong people that really have the community in the forefront. Because some of these people that have taken control of these organizations, they end up getting corrupted somehow. Right. But I'm just throwing that out there because sometimes some of these missions that we have for our community runs afoul of some of that leadership. Mm-hmm. And I know that both of you brothers realize that.
Yes, sir.
I think we're talking again about gatekeepers. I think that this didn't happen overnight with the NAACP. I think it occurred over decades, but they are far removed from, their founders and the founding mission. And so I think that whenever you come to do something, and it may not be your intention to be a disruptor, but the nature of your work is going to disrupt the establishment or the status quo, people are going to come for you. Mm-hmm. So you already, have that mindset of expecting that. But at the same time, you should already have your resolve built up to the point that no matter what comes, I know what my mission is. My mission directive is clear, and I will not be moved from it. And so I guess it's a matter of the heart and having the courage to stand up. But of course, we know that there will be people that come after you to try to corrupt you. You know, for example, with the NAACP, okay, when we forced them to have their first meeting, then we started going to the meetings and you know, what was discussed was discussed. Do you know this fake, because I call them fake, because you can't be president of a chapter that's out of compliance. Okay, you just telling people that's what you are. But do you know this fake executive committee tried to meet with me by myself, said they wanted to have a meeting with me and to meet them at this particular church. And I refused to go. I was like, if anything you got to say to me, you got to say to the people that I came up in here with. And not even give them an opportunity to make an offer so-called that you can't refuse. Now, on the flip side of that, this other activist in the county, who I didn't really know him like that, but I knew he was in the streets at a lot of the events that I was at, and I may not always agree with his tactics, but he wasn't sitting on his ass, right? So anyway, he was one of the activists I reached out to when, you know, when that boy got killed, and said, man, we need to take over the local chapter. You know, can I count on you? You know, will you join? All you need to do is join, you know, and then we could put in the proper leadership and get these old heads out. And so guess what happened, though? He joined, but guess what happened? They made an offer that he apparently couldn't refuse. So they was about to appoint him to the executive community the very day the district guy came in and said, cease and desist. You're not a chapter anymore. But they was about to put that guy, they didn't know that guy. They didn't know him any more than they knew me. All right. But he certainly was going to take that position. Oh, his wife got very pissed off when it went down that day. That no, you're not finna do that. You're not finna do that. So yeah, you have to know when you get into these things what we're up against. If you study history, you know what our people have come up against and the things that they suffered. So if you're not prepared to make that sacrifice and suffer for your people, then it's best to just stay on the sideline. That's all I got, though.
I think that I can agree to exactly what Scotty just said. So for me, I just kind of, like, I've been in the game probably like 3 years. 3 years. And just kind of, like Scotty said, when we went into these meetings, like, although I don't feel that we were saying anything like out of place, but I think just because we were holding them accountable, we got labeled. Like, you know, like it was kind of like, if anything, I think that they kind of wanted to shut somebody up. I ain't going to call no names, Scotty. But I think they did everything to try to quiet Scotty because they did not want to be held accountable. And they knew that he was bringing it live and direct to them, like legally, like by the book. And so that's the thing for me. I kind of get nervous in the beginning. Scotty, you know, like I was kind of nervous, like, I don't know about this, y'all, but that's because I'm the student and I'm around people that are the teachers, and sometimes I don't really, you know what I'm saying? It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable, but somebody has got to do the hard work within these organizations because there is no reason at all that this organization should have stood for as long as it did with the past executive board not being active. I literally asked them to tell me about an event, and these people told me that they had an event that dated back to 1809, which was voters registration. When was the last time they had a voters registration event? And nobody could give me an answer. And it's like, you know, when we kind of went in there, it's like nobody really wanted to. It wasn't like a welcome, you know, like a welcoming, like we got some fresh faces. Okay, they got some new ideas. So like, we kind of felt like unwanted. I did anyway. Like, you know, I want my money back. I don't feel like I'm welcomed over here. For real, like it was disheartening. But somebody has got to do it, and it was really, really difficult. And just like you said, they did not want to have a meeting. They did not want to have a meeting, and they used everything possible. Even after the fact, after the man said it was shut down, they still was like going around telling people as president is this, and it's like, no, you're done. They do not want to let go, and that's why that's why Gastonia is the way that it is, because these people get in these positions and they are super glued to them, and you have to literally use, I don't even know what unhold super glue, but you got to really pry their hands. They are like gripping on with every ounce of might that they have, and instead of just saying, you know what, y'all are right, or welcoming this in, helping us learn the ropes so that we can all help one another, it's like just an outcast, like a division, like y'all and us.
Brother DuvSac,
I guess.
did you want to weigh in?
Yeah.
Final comments on that?
Yes. I guess the only thing I can do is add to what the brother and sister said.
No, Patrick.
Can you hear me?
No, Patrick. Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, brother. Brother Elliot, I just want to say in closing, you know, my spirit is going everywhere right now. You know, I'm just listening to all this and internalizing all this and digesting all this. My spirit's going everywhere. So I'm just gonna be brief and to the point. Black people just gotta stop being afraid of white people. Simple as that. You know, Baba Shabaka Afrika, if he was on the line, he would say something to this nature. He would say that people would be discriminated against, marginalized, ostracized, and even killed until they develop a moral character to stand up for their own humanity. And right now, it's a humanity issue with black people. It's a humanity issue with black people right now. And we have to develop the moral character to stand up and remove people out of leadership positions that not being consequential for black people. So, you know, I mean, even right now with this country, a lot of people don't even understand what has politically happened in this country. And I'm going to put it in perspective. This country has politically taken deviant culture, which is what we have in the LGBT community, and given it a humanity. But at the same time, the politics of this country has taken a race and dehumanized it to a deviant culture. So that's how backwards this thing is. And we got black people that's going along to get along. And right now we have to stand up for our own humanity. So, you know, at this point, Baba Elliott, we are taking that stand. You know what I'm saying? And I'm so glad that we having this conversation. I just want to speak to, before we go, Charles Blow wrote a book called The Devil You Know. And it speaks profoundly about the reverse migration idea. And if we would study our history, we would see that the northern cities, those destination cities like Chicago, Detroit, St. Louis, even the first one, which was Memphis, that's right north of us right now. You know, people fled out of the South into these cities, these destination cities. But these are cities. You know, we talking about a state. And I'm going to tell y'all this. If we're not talking about going back across the Atlantic Ocean and re-establishing ourselves at our real home, we're going to have to establish something here for ourselves. I mean, seriously. And when you start to think about the South and the black people resource here, when we convene the Black Liberation Movement, Building Power Summit, and we have people come down, they always talk about the people resource. They always talk about black people everywhere. Well, we need the black people that left here to reinvest back into the South, even if you don't even intend to live here. I mean, Mississippi don't have to be your place, but it can be your base. And I'm not just talking about Mississippi, I'm talking about the South in particular. To reinvest in the South where black people are. Create an economy like the brother was talking about, the roster bus. Let's do this. Some of the more, not more intellectual people, because that's a sentiment that's not true. Black people in the North are more intelligent than black people in the South. No, it's just a lot of black people that got trapped here due to the socio-economic situation. They don't make us less intelligent. It may just make us more ingenious because we're able to survive with less. But what I'm saying is that we should really consider the reverse migration I did. If we talking serious political project. So when Laguma was not playing with that when he ascertained the mayoral seat in Jackson, Mississippi, and he began to solicit black people from all across the nation to come to Jackson, Mississippi, and let's build a socio-economic, let's build a politics, let's build an educational system around black people that's already here. So I'm just saying that to say, there's nothing unintelligent about what we're talking about tonight. You know, so we have to take this conversation and continue to build on it to a tangible reality. So that's what we're doing, and that's what we'll be doing from this point forward with Mystic on the Move and all parties affiliated. That's what we'll be doing. So, like I said, Brother Elliot, I'm grateful, you know, for the platform, and I'm grateful for the continuity and the camaraderie of the brothers and sisters that we have here, and I yield.
Can y'all hear me?
Thank everybody for joining this conversation tonight. It won't be the last time that we talk about these things, because the organization or the reorganization of those chapters and probably other chapters in those states are going to be continuously working. In fact, we had one of the listeners say that he knows some other chapters in a few other states that have done the same thing. So we'll be having this conversation again, and everybody can join when we have some of those other chapters on in some of the other states.
Hey, before you go, I do want to confirm that because I get news alerts about a lot of these NAACP chapters either being shut down and officers removed or young people taking them over. Yeah. So it does seem to be a movement across this country to infiltrate and militarize, I'm going to use that term, these vehicles, these legacy organizations. And the last thing I want to share, when y'all keep talking about the South, the Republic of New Africa just keeps popping into my head. You know what I'm saying? Because that can be real, still be a vision of some of our elders that can be realized here in the South.
Can y'all hear me, Brother Elliot?
Wow, my head too, Scotty. I just leave that alone.
Can y'all hear me? Brother Elliot.
Yes. All right. So listen, I want to thank everybody for being with us this evening.
Can y'all hear me, Brother Elliot?
For this discussion. And you know what? We're going to take a brief break. When we come back, we'll end the program. But I thank everybody for being on with us. Brother Scotty, Sister Sierra, Sister Crystal, Brother DuvSac, Brother Malik Hayes, Brother Patrick, everybody was on with us.
They can't seem to hear me right now, y'all. I was going to close out with a little final statement. But just hold tight. We're going to wrap this thing up in just a second. Brother Elliot, can y'all hear me?
With host, Brother Elliot and Brother Richard on Time for an Awakening Media, part of the Black Talk Radio Network. For podcasting or live program scheduling, hit them up at timeforanawakening@gmail.com.
All Insurance Incorporated, an African-American owned and operated insurance agency in business for over 20 years, located at 231 Southeastern Road in Glenside, PA, with other offices in Germantown and West Philadelphia.
I want to take this time out to thank everybody for listening to Hood Reform, the podcast. I hope y'all learned something. Y'all see that we on a movement here in Mississippi. We're on the right track and unifying our efforts to try to liberate the state of Mississippi. If you're interested in joining the movement, do contact me by inbox, phone, or email. All right?
215-885-2444. All Insurance Incorporated.
Electrical Inspections provides electrical inspections for realtors, licensed electricians, and homeowners. Licensed and insured underwriter, serving Philadelphia and surrounding areas. Call today, 484-268-9836. The Digital Plantation. HabibiToMe.com, HabibiToMe.tv, HabibiToMeTV.com, HabibiToMe.store are here for you. You are ready to be free of non-African social media. Don't run from danger, run to safety. HabibiToMe.com is here for you. You are ready to be free of digital plantations to control your own products. HabibiToMe.store is here for you. ABIBITUMI, Black Power. ABIBITUMI. The only word you need to know to join your global Commit to You Black family, to join your interconnected Commit to You Black communities. Escape the digital plantation now. HabibiToMe.com, HabibiToMe.tv, HabibiToMeTV.com, HabibiToMe.store. We are here for you. Escape the digital plantation.
New era, a new phase of the struggle, where we have moved from a struggle for decency, which characterized our struggle for 10 or 12 years, to a struggle for genuine equality. And this is where we're getting the resistance, because there was never any intention to go this far. People were reacting to Bull Connor and to Jim Carr rather than acting in good faith for the realization of genuine equality.
Do you think white people in this country, and I'm talking about non-segregationists, people thinking they're devoid of racism, do you have any idea of what they want the Negro to be in America?
I think the vast majority of white Americans will go but so far. It's a kind of installment plan for equality. And they are always looking for an excuse to go but so far.
And know that this problem needs to be solved, and we can't keep relegating it to generation after generation, because a few of us got a little money, a few of us got positions, a few of us have wealth, while the masses of our people are going steadily down. Can rise above the condition of his people. The brother said responsibility. Is it that we should let them take responsibility to do for us, or should we pool the knowledge that's at the table, the power that's in our community, the wealth that's in our community, to change the hard reality of Black life in America? We have to do the job of fulfilling the Black agenda.
Whites are expert game players in their hunt to maintain absolute power. One of the time-honored gimmicks is to point to individual Blacks who've achieved recognition. But look at Ralph Bunche. Think about Lena Horne or Mary Anderson. Look at Jackie Robinson. They made it. As one of those who has made it, I would like to be thought of as an inspiration to our young. But I don't want them lied to name them for me. Examples of Blacks who made it. For virtually everyone you name, I can give you a sorted piece of factual information on how they have been mistreated, humiliated. Not being able to fight back is a form of severe punishment.
I come here tonight and plead with you. Believe in yourself and believe that you're somebody. I said to the group last night, nobody else can do this for us. No document can do this for us. No Lincolnian Emancipation Proclamation can do this for us. No Jeffersonian or Johnsonian Civil Rights Bill can do this for us. If the Negro is to be free, he must move down into the inner resources of his own soul and sign with a pen and
technique of self-asserted manhood, his own emancipation.
Brother Elliot.
Don't let anybody take your manhood.
Born Awakening is a proud part of the Black Talk Radio Network, the #1 independent Black digital and podcasting platform.
Go back to Time Born Awakening. Richard.
Yes, yes.
Oh man, great discussion.
And
Well, I from 2 states tonight. Go ahead. So that
I'm inspired.
and it's well, I'll talk with Scotty and I think Brother Otis mentioned that he knows some folks. So I'd really like to be anxious to get some of the other states that have done something similar. So our people can see that these things is the spirit movement among our people, and it's clear. Yes, the thing that is key in this is the communication aspect, Richard. Yeah, being able to pass these messages to let people know they're not alone, and to let people know that there's other people in other states and other areas doing the same struggle. Because, listen, I'm not trying to be a hater or bash anybody, but you're not going to hear this on other Black Talk, and there ain't that many Black Talk stations. But it's certain ones that you're not going to hear these type of conversations. You're not going to hear them on the Gold of the Black Eagle. You're not going to hear them on Shop. You're not going to hear them. And you definitely ain't going to hear them on those English and Handy type of shows in the mornings in every city. The laughing, joking, the satires. I mean, listen, I like a joke and a laugh, but 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every morning. Serious issues going on, and you turn on your radio, and every city is laughing and joking. Ain't that much funny in the world. Hey. So, these conversations are necessary. And I mean, listen, I'm just happy and proud that, when we left URD, man, was blessed to run into Scotty, and he made me an offer to take what we were doing on terrestrial radio and bring it to streaming, and we've been there ever since. So, that's what we do here. Listen, before we leave, I just want to give the lineup on Time for the Awakening Media, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. African Perspectives with Brother Oshie, always interesting topics and dialogue on African Perspectives. That's Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Later on in the week, you heard him, Brother Patrick Lumumba, with Mississippi on the Move, the Black Liberation Movement, this Thursday from 8 to 9. Friday's Time for an Awakening is back from 8 until Saturdays from 7 to 9. The Elders of Sankofa with Dr. Janine James as host from 7 to 9 on Saturday evening. And then on Sundays, Time for Awakening is back from 7 until. I want to thank everybody for listening to the program this evening. Lively discussion as always, and we'll be back on Friday, Lord willing, to continue on this path towards awakening. Peace.
Peace. But there y'all have it, another edition of Hood Reform, the podcast. We've been live streaming with Brother Elliot and Brother Richard from Time for an Awakening. Broadcast coming out of Philly, Pennsylvania, and it's nationwide. We were just discussing the issues of Mississippi, reforming and revitalizing the NAACP and the Mississippi on the Move movement. Once again, if you're interested in joining the movement to assist us in any type of way, volunteering any of your resources that you can bring to the table, you can join the NAACP by going to naacp.org, joining the branch and clicking on the unit, Marshall County 5310. Marshall County 5310, or call Brother Pat Commander and see about joining the Black Liberation Movement through the Elmer Geronimo Pratt Gun Club, and seeking you to make some donations to Ashe Academy, And just be ready to fill in whatever you need it, and whatever post you need to take. Be ready to take that post for the liberation of your people. Once again, it's your man DuvSac DuvSac. We're wrapping up here on it was about 50 degrees on this partly cloudy Sunday afternoon here in the great state of Mississippi, and I'm in these backwoods of Marshall County right now, and it's been a good day. It's a good conversation. I always enjoy being in the circle among men who think like I think, or being in the circle among men and women that share that same energy, or that same black pride that I share, that I possess. And I'm gonna say it again: my black pride don't mean my hatred for no other race. Maybe you guys haven't witnessed black pride like this in a long time, or maybe you never seen black pride like this in your lifetime. Well, that's all it is: black pride, and I will die for black liberation of my people. Period. I'm here to help make Marshall County a better county. I'm here to contribute all I got to Holly Springs, as I have always done my whole adult life. So until I come back to you again, remember, we need hood reform. Parents are not supposed to bury their children. Children are supposed to bury the parents. That's not my way. That's God's way. Remember that. I love you till next time. Peace and power. Mm-hmm.